And this is basically just like the complete denial mentality that some people have in the housing market. If you're not getting offers, lower your fucking price. Are you that brain dead? The investors, they're gone. They're not coming back. The economy in the Greater Toronto Area is set to implode, and this is one of the biggest economies in Canada, and it is being taken down by something that most people would have never thought would happen: the housing bubble imploding. And it is happening, and it's just accelerating, guys. I mean, 118 condos sold in August. That is absolutely insane. These are new condos, and if you look at the completions, it's just at GFC levels. When you look at this chart, it's just at an insane level, and you've just got no way of getting out of this. This is a total disaster for the GTA and the economy in the GTA, and is creating that self-reinforcing doom loop, which people probably would have hoped would never occur, where you have the unemployment rate that is going up and up and up. As we know, Toronto has one of the highest unemployment rates in Canada right now. That feeds more into the local economy. The downturn in the local economy intensifies, and then that translates into businesses laying off more workers, which then it just intensifies and intensifies. And when you think of the economy in Toronto, a lot of it is financial services and real estate. And what does the financial services depend on? It depends on real estate. So it is looking really stupid right now with everything that's going on. I want to show you this just real quick. The delinquency rate is absolutely going up at an unprecedented rate here. Danielle Foch put on X here, mortgages over 800k in Ontario and BC are seeing the largest rise in delinquency, and that is because the insane amount of debt that has been taken on, and most of that is interest debt that is going towards the banks straight away. So Toronto new home sales plunged to new low as condo demand collapses. You can basically see what's going on here. And what people need to realize is these charts and average prices are not accurate. If you're actually in that market, a lot of people are going to be lowballing. A lot of people are going to be on the lower end of these prices. These prices are not accurate representations when you've got so little activity happening in the market. So yes, people can be selling at 20, a 30% discount to what these prices actually are if they really need to sell. And we're getting up to that time in the year where only desperate people are listing their homes, and you've got inventory at an all-time high. So if you look at what's going on with condos, they look pretty flat, but as we know, the losses are insane, because when we talked about that guy who basically had gambled his whole retirement into the condo market on a video from a couple of weeks ago,
and it was recently sold on assignment for $590,000. They're now on the hook to cover the difference.
And now I have a mortgage on this property for $300,000 and I don't own it.
Yeah, you look at like the condo apartment prices, maybe they're down 20% at a push. Again, these numbers, they're all over the place. And that's what people don't realize, is that they could actually be a lot lower than the prices are saying on the charts. If you're actually in that market, you realize that. So Toronto new home sales fall to a record low. You can see that here. This chart goes all the way back to 2009 and just look at it. Pathetic, absolutely pathetic sales for August of 2025. Nowhere even comes close apart from the past couple of years. So this bubble is just absolutely imploding. Greater Toronto new home sales continue to come in at record shattering lows. Only 300 new homes were reported sold in August, down 42% from last year and 81% below the 10-year average for the month. It was the worst August on record, with available data going back more than 16 years. Again, this is just showing how bad this downturn really is in Toronto on the new home sales side. And this was such a big driver of the economy. And like I said, you're in that doom loop. This is going to feed right back into the local economy, making it even worse, unfortunately, because so many people are dependent on this bubble and it is imploding. I mean, everywhere you go in Toronto for the past 10 years, you look one way and they're building a new condo tower. So it's just absolutely insane. I mean, you've seen it with the cranes as well for the past decade. It was so obvious to many people. And then new home inventory climbs to a 10-year high. Whilst you've got sales that are at a 16-year low, you've got inventory at a 10-year high. I mean, this is just ridiculous, and nobody is going to buy this. The investors, they're gone. They're not coming back, as we're going to get into later in this video. And then you can basically see on this chart posted by Ben on X here, all these things are linked below, by the way. Dwellings under construction. You basically got condo nearly at a record high. You've got rentals at a massive high here, and you've got single family homes kind of not doing much, which is what most people would like. So you've got all these rentals and condos coming online. And guess what? The population growth numbers, they came out and they were the slowest since 2020 during the depths of the pandemic. So there's nobody coming to fill these condos and rentals anymore. And they are at 35-year highs. I mean, it's so fucking bad. It's beyond belief. But, you know, you could have easily predicted that this was going to happen because everything works in cycles. Immigration bubbles, housing bubbles, they always go in cycles. Nothing ever lasts forever. And that's what people should really understand about all bubbles. And then this was also posted on X. New condo sales have plummeted in the GTA. And you can see here on this chart just how low and how pathetically weak condo sales really are. And then basically this is really interesting because it shows you the rent growth required to achieve neutral cash flow for a pre-sale condo. And still, as this guy points out on X, you would still need rents to rise by 55%, which is completely insane. That is never going to happen if people's incomes aren't growing. Rents can grow temporarily faster than incomes. We saw that during the pandemic. But what happens eventually? They fucking reverse. I have said about that many times on the channel before rents actually went down. And the other thing that you have to know is even though these are going to be higher than income growth in certain areas, you have to understand that they will come back down and correlate with incomes once again. In fact, I've never seen it where rents have just massively overshot incomes in terms of growth and have not corrected back down. I have said about that many times on the channel that this would happen, and here we are and it's happening. You're seeing rents that are starting to reverse. You can't have rents just exceeding people's income growth. Well, actually you can, but that means the standard of living is going down because people are being pushed into smaller and smaller houses and accommodations, and then the people on the far end, they're being pushed onto the street. So yes, it can happen, and it has been happening in Canada, but eventually you see some pullback and reversal of that. So will you ever get to 2019 rents? Probably not, but will you see a reversal of rents? Yes, and you're already seeing how fast that can happen in places like Calgary. And then this is just another sign of the Toronto housing market, and we're not talking about a condo here. We're talking about a house. Just listen to this story that was posted by Shazzy. My home in Toronto has been listed for 6 months with 0 offers. Help. I hired a realtor that is not local to the area. God knows why they did that. They have had my detached home in a nice area of Toronto listed for 6 months with no offers. It's beautifully staged, photos, video, and the price is below the neighborhood competition. In 6 months, more than 50 families and some more than once have come through the house, but 0 offers. It has a huge lot, huge double garage, clean, natural color palette, and also basically move-in condition with potential to renovate with time to make it their own. Why can't we get an offer? Something happens after the people come to see the property. What can I do to get offers but without giving the house away? And this is basically just like the complete denial mentality that some people have in the housing market. If you're not getting offers, lower your price. Are you that brain dead that you have to go to Reddit and Facebook and places like that to ask a simple question? I mean, this is just how stupid a lot of these people are operating in the housing market, unfortunately. But it is so obvious. All of us, comment below, all of us on this channel realized that the thing that they could do if they really wanted offers, lower your price. It's obviously priced too high. And yes, you might say, oh yeah, there's other houses in the neighborhood and they are priced higher. But your comparison is not going to be direct. They're going to be different style homes, most likely, different square footage, different areas. So it's not exactly the same. And also, if they're not selling, what does that mean? You might be below, but the actual market price might be way below. And that's what I was saying earlier in this video. The prices that you see see on these charts are not actually accurate anymore because there's not enough activity that the prices are accurate. So basically that means that you could actually score a huge deal in the housing market just by going around lowballing people, trying to find those desperate sellers who need to offload it, and eventually you'll probably come across one, because that is the stage that we're at now in Canada, and especially going into the fall, it's a good time to do it because you get really all those desperate sellers, especially in December. The people with their house listed are generally very desperate. If you want to give somebody the ultimate gift this Christmas, why not lowball their house? So it will be interesting to see how this shakes out. Then we've got some losses all over the place in Ontario, but again, just showing how bad this housing market is for some people, because it is really bad. Willowdale wipeout. This is a $643,000 loss, and that is over a 22% loss on this house. $643,000. Can you imagine losing that amount of money in 3 years? Well, people are losing that amount of money. It's absolutely insane. This is in Niagara-on-the-Lake in Ontario. This is a $760,000 loss in 2 years. Just think about the average income for Niagara-on-the-Lake. I'll put it on screen right now. Average household income, I'm guessing, is around $120,000. And then you've got them basically losing $380,000 a year. So over 3 times the average household income they have lost per year for 2 years. I mean, it's absolutely insane. So you can see here, it sold in 2023 for 3.1 million and it just sold for 2.4 million. So that's another 22% loss, just an absolutely huge loss. And then you've got this $635,000 loss on this tiny house. I mean, this would typically be like your starter home for a couple that wants to break in the housing market. And still, houses like this are going for $1 million. I mean, that is just fucking insanity right there. You only have to go and look at housing costs in places like the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, where all the rich and wealthy go, to realize that that is an insane price for Toronto, where people can just break into your house and you have to sit there and do nothing, otherwise you'll be the one thrown in jail. I mean, that is just completely insane, to say the least. So another massive loss there, and that is an over 38% loss on this house. So again, you're just seeing how badly the Toronto housing market is cracking. And yes, this isn't going to be every single house that is selling in Toronto, but it's once again showing just the market is all over the place. And actually, if you're operating in that market, you probably can score a deal which is way below market value if you're prepared to actually offer way below what the average price might be and just lowball a lot of different people. I guarantee that you'll find a desperate person. Is it the bottom? By no means. You've got to be prepared for the prices to continue dropping, and the way I price real estate is based on what you can rent it out for, so you can calculate where the fair market value is. And if you've enjoyed this video, highly recommend that you check out this video about that guy who lost his condo and bet his whole retirement on the housing market. And then if you're looking for a VPN and also want to help support the channel, then get ExpressVPN, link in the description below. It also helps out the channel and you get the best VPN. Win-win. I will see you in the next one. Take care.